Hello, everyone, and welcome into the Q&A show. My name is Bob Theriot, and I'm so glad you're joining me here tonight. I have another exciting, dynamic guest. As promised, I always try to deliver and try to bring on people of value. So thank you for joining me here. I know you have a choice, so thank you for joining in. And if you have any questions, if we have time towards the end of the show, please chime in. We'll see your comments, and we'll try to answer your questions if time allows. If you're watching us live right now, go ahead and hit or hashtag live. And if you happen to catch the show somewhere down in replay, hashtag replay. Also, you might see this on YouTube. So if you're watching on YouTube, please hit the subscribe button, hit that little bell so you can get a notification the next time we bring a show up here. I think we're now on episode 34. So thanks to you guys and the support we're getting from everybody and all of the feedback we're getting. We're doing very well. And so thank you guys for watching the show and just supporting us. So let me talk a little bit about my next guest. Okay. So before I bring him on, he is, his name is Adam. Okay. So Adam Carswell, and he's the director of Concordia Realty Corporation and business development manager at ASIM Capital, two privately held commercial real estate firms. He is also an avid vlogger and podcaster. He launched his podcast Dream Chasers and a vlog Untitled in 2017. So he's been doing this for a while. So let's go ahead and bring him up, and let me introduce you to Mr. Adam Carswell. Hey, Adam, what's up, bud?
Hey, Bob. Thank you for the warm introduction. Thank you for having me. And I'm doing great. How's it going over there? And are you in Colorado? I know we're talking mountain time.
No, El Paso. El Paso is
all right.
Probably the only large El Paso city. Well, I'm in El Paso, Texas, but probably the last big city in Texas. It's on actual mountain time, and everybody gets confused. I have a lot of guests that log on late, early, so I always highlight mountain time. Mountain time, yeah. So,
yeah, I just learned something new today. I didn't even know that until now.
Yeah, the rest of Texas is central.
Yeah, it is.
Where are you at right now? Where are you coming from live?
I'm coming in live. This is gonna be weird. It's 10:30 p.m. where I am right now. I'm on the what I like to call the real East Coast, the true East Coast, which is St. John's, Newfoundland, Canada.
All right.
So first city in the U.S. Or I'm sorry, I almost said U.S. First city in North America that the sun rises on every day.
Wow. So it's pretty late already over there. So we're talking about a 3-hour difference.
Yeah, this is dedication right here.
This is. So can you give my audience a little bit of background on you? I looked you up. We were mutually, or somebody actually recommended you to us, Hadil Kaida. Yes. And she's an awesome person. And so Hadil, if you're watching, thank you for introducing me to Adam. But I wanted to bring you on because she was like, he's dynamic. You need to have him on. And she was very persistent. So thank you, Hadil. But give my audience a little bit of background of what you do. I know you're in commercial real estate, and we know you're a vlogger. So your background story, all that stuff.
Sure. I'll start from where I'm at now and then kind of work my way backwards. Because you know what, I don't think I've ever done it this way before. So here we go. Currently live in St. John's, Newfoundland, Canada. The funniest thing about that is actually, at least for the time being, most of the business, if not any of the business that I do, is not here. It's all virtual, digital, however you want to say it, over the internet. And what I do at ASIM Capital and Concordia Realty, which you just mentioned, Bob, is I handle a lot of media, marketing, investor relations, strategic positioning, and project management. And those are all things that I can do as long as I have my cell phone and this computer that we're on right here. I fell in love with St. John's about 4 years ago or so when I first came to visit some friends of mine that live here who are now my roommates, I should say, and just found the opportunity within the past 6 months, or roughly the past 6 months, to do this and go where I want to go and do what I want to do. And I picked this city, this province, this area of the world to start doing my thing. So a lot of cool things going on in life that we're probably going to uncover as we go through this interview. But now working back, I've previously lived in San Francisco, the Bay Area. I lived in Washington, D.C., where I really started my professional career, which was not in real estate to begin with. Before that, I lived in Belize, Central America, where I studied and got my master's degree. Played basketball, coached basketball down there. I played 4 years of college basketball as well and ran track. And that was at Westminster College, which is in the Western Pennsylvania area. And then going back to the beginning of the life of Adam, it all started in the Cleveland, Ohio area, Painesville,
Okay.
Ohio to be specific. And yeah, it's always hard for me to remember this, but there's a lot of us. That's why.
So from Cleveland to Canada, right?
Right. Yeah. Which is funny because Cleveland's not too far from Toronto. So around here in particular, I get people asking me all the time, are you from Toronto? So I guess the accent must be similar or something.
Wow. Well, that's interesting. So how did you get into this whole, so you do real estate. That's what intrigues me about this whole thing. You do real estate, but you're really doing the marketing of it, correct?
Yeah. Really, that's true. Building bridges, making connections, marketing. Anyone who does know me, and Bob, I'm sure we're going to get to see a lot of each other after this, but I'm huge on LinkedIn. For the past year or so, I've been posting on LinkedIn I'd say close to on average, at least once per day. And it's amazing what consistency like that can really do. You're in marketing. It's just amazing what that can do for your network. So building a personal brand, building the brand of the two firms that I'm strongly associated with. You can do it. You can find a way to do it all virtually in this day and age, thankfully. And I just want that to be a message to anyone right now who's listening.
Yeah. And they call it the laptop lifestyle, but I'm sure, as you know, you still have to meet people. I know that I like to still shake hands. It's always, if you can, this is great, but if you can meet them in person, it's always better.
Absolutely. And that does go to what I'd say my life looks like is it's a lot of this, but I know from January through, I don't even know, May or June, I've got at least one conference that I've got lined up that I'm going to every month. So the face-to-face interaction still very much is important, an important aspect of real estate. And I would say pretty much any business.
So take us through your day. So what's priority in your day? So how does that look for you in the real estate part of it?
Yep. So on a daily basis, what I actually like to do, and I've been sharing this recently on podcasts, and it's a little bit unconventional, but it's so basic and so simple. I've gotten to a point now where, I've got what I need to do in my daily schedule on my phone. And what I used to do is stick to that schedule very strictly, but sometimes you miss an appointment or something, or you forget to do something. And psychologically, you just beat yourself up, or at least I know I would, I forgot to, even I'll put do laundry, for example, in the schedule, and then you forget to do it. You're like, dang it. But what I've been doing for the past 3 months or so is taking a look at that schedule. I'm going to do this at the end of today, writing down on a checklist everything that I got to do. There we go.
So you're still use paper for that.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
I'm old school, huh?
Yeah.
But I've got a daily checklist every day. I go through the social media accounts of the firms that I work with, for example. I had 4 or 5 meetings, phone calls today. As you mentioned, I was just on a conference call with ASIM right before this. And it's amazing for me. Again, this is, just a recommendation. What I've found is when you just write it down and you're able to just cross it off, by the end of the day, you feel pretty good when you can at least cross most of the things off, if not all of them.
Right.
Yeah. So you don't need an app or anything like that.
No, you don't have to be all fancy.
Yeah.
And then I'm assuming what you didn't finish, you put to the top of the list next day.
Exactly. Yep. Yeah.
And so what does it look like working with you though? So you work for a privately held company. So are you out trying to pull in people to your sphere or your business? How does that look like?
Yeah, as I mentioned, a lot of bridge building. So one thing, for example, we'll just say on LinkedIn, I'm getting ready to make a post and send an email out to my sphere of influence. So we have a fund at ASIM Capital right now, which is a workforce housing fund. For anyone who's tuned in right now listening and doesn't know a whole lot about commercial investing, basically, we're pulling together capital from investors into, say, an account, and then taking that capital and using it to buy B and C, so like lower class multifamily units that are actually we're investing in properties that aren't too far from you, Bob. One in Albuquerque, New Mexico right now, another one in San Antonio. And we were just looking at one in another market, and I can't remember. But basically, we're taking this pool of capital that we have from our investors, acquiring properties that we know we can add value to with somebody that we've partnered with who's very experienced. Again, we would never even consider working with this person if it wasn't for their track record. and then improving the properties, cash flowing through improving those properties. For example, this is just for anyone who doesn't know what this looks like. You've got, for example, people paying rent every month. So that money coming in for rent then turns into net income for the investors, and then that's distributed across. So we cash flow the properties for anywhere from 3 to 10 years. And then when it's time to sell the properties, then we sell them, and then everyone makes a gain. And then it's kind of like, all right, on to the next project. So spreading that information, spreading that news so again, if we have any accredited investors listening right now and you want to learn more about this workforce housing fund that I'm talking about, it is active. We're accepting contributions right now, and we've got all kinds of data and information I can send your way. So that's a piece of what my day tends to look like. One thing that I am doing.
So can people actually roll their 401ks over into or Roth IRAs, roll it over into your fund?
They can. And I will say this is an area of finance where I'm not necessarily the expert, but we certainly have investors that are doing that. Correct.
It's mostly cash monies you see coming in.
It's a variety. It's for example, sometimes even if somebody wants to 1031 exchange from a property that they just sold, take that equity and put it into this deal, so that way they don't, for example, get taxed. There's all different kinds of ways you can do this just in this space. When it comes to our particular offering, our particular deal, again, I would, at this point, when those questions start to surface, since I'm not necessarily the expert, I get you connected with Hunter Thompson, for example, who's the managing principal of our company, or someone who's really going to be able to educate you better.
So you pull them in, and then they can structure the deal a certain way to cash out, right? You can come up with different dates and times and timelines, I'm assuming.
Correct. Yep.
That's awesome.
Everything is very data-driven, statistical, spreadsheets, graphs, information, everything you need.
Yeah. And real estate is a solid investment, very solid investment.
It is. And I just like this. The one word about or message about real estate that I like to share with friends, family, and people that I know is I'd say like 90% of our population, when they think real estate, they think homes, they think HGTV, they think fix and flip. Maybe multifamily, as I just mentioned, but there's so many different asset classes like mobile home parks, self-storage facilities, retail real estate, which happens to be the focus of Concordia Realty. We didn't really discuss a whole lot about Concordia yet, so we can do that. But there's so many different directions you can go with real estate, especially in commercial. And I think people just don't realize that because of things, like I said, like HGTV that are more readily available.
I have I know a lot of people in real estate and agents, and they laugh because, people see a show in 30 minutes and they show them 3 houses and they buy at the end after they show them the 3rd house. People come in with these preconceived notions that that's how real estate works. Show me 3 cool houses, I'm going to pick one at the end and I'm done.
It's good entertainment, right? And it might give you some ideas.
It's all entertainment.
That's exactly, yeah.
Yeah. So what are some of the misconceptions people have when they're dealing with you or you're trying to talk to them about that?
I think the one misconception that I always like to address, aside from the ones that maybe I perhaps already mentioned, is when it does come to retail real estate, there's this stigma that brick and mortar is slowly dying and it's going to go away because, you see the stories about Toys R Us and Sears and all these big stores just getting hit. When in reality, and I wish I had the statistic readily available, but last year it was a record-breaking year for total retail sales and revenue. And so the industry actually is continuing to grow, not only thrive, but it's actually getting to a point where the successful companies have omni-channel operations. So you look at Amazon as the prime example for the future of retail. And we should say this too, retail has been around for ages. There's again, a quote, it's like the Roman agora once upon a time, and then that evolved to many years later, like the general store and then department stores and then malls. And so if you just look over the history of mankind, retail has always been a thing. It just evolved. And so figuring out how it's evolving and riding that wave is what's going to be able to position yourself or anyone who's involved in the industry for success. And going back to what I just said about omni-channels, operations, Amazon, a little over a year ago, and most people are starting to realize this now, they acquired Whole Foods for like $13.7 billion. And the amount of due diligence that Amazon is capable of doing before making a move like that, there's not many other companies, peoples, or entities in the world that have access to the data that like Amazon has access to. And so if Amazon is now acquiring brick and mortar facilities that should be assigned to people following in their footsteps, companies following their footsteps in the direction that things are going, which I'm going to say it one more time, is omni-channel. Walmart and Target, they're going in a way the other direction because they already have the physical establishments. They're ramping up their online strategies. And this is just really my personal opinion, but I feel like we're definitely going to get to a point where it's like Amazon versus Walmart, Uber, Lyft, Amazon, Walmart, the future of retail, also going into services like hair and nails, salons, grocery stores, which is what we happen to like a lot at Concordia. There's all kinds of things that really show that it's not the retail apocalypse, and then that's really just a bunch of hype.
Well, you know, and you always hear about, and when you think back to the Walmart days, remember there were cities and towns that were fighting against Walmart's coming in because they would put a lot of mom and pops out of business. So that would happen, but then they would also hire a ton of people. So there's always going to be pros and cons to everything. And you're absolutely right. There's always going to be a need for somebody to go, even though we still are ordering stuff online, people still want to go someplace, or if people want to gather and meet, you know, so that's true. I don't know if you heard this, but I had heard the story about Amazon that they were actually trying to get it to where the stores, or the grocery stores, were unmanned. So there were no employees there. So what would happen is you would walk in, you would probably have your Amazon card on you, and you can shop the store, and this was going to be Whole Foods. And then as you exited the store, it would automatically scan everything and charge your credit card. They actually run some of the stores for their employees right now. They beta tested it and it wasn't working too well. So they kind of shelved it for now. I don't know if it's going to go away completely, but they shelved it for now because if somebody was walking within 10 feet of somebody else, it didn't know what to scan. And so the charges were just all mixed up. But I thought that was an interesting story. And so the employees of Amazon, I think there's 4 stores, they actually get to go and grocery shop there. So pretty interesting stuff coming down the road.
Yeah. And to validate that too, I think there certainly will be a day and age where that could be normal. But comparatively speaking, I think of, for example, Uber has been working on and Lyft, I think, have been working on the driverless vehicles for a while, for some time, like at least probably 5 years. And so those are just, as far as I know, starting to emerge. And even with the emergence of those, a lot of people still aren't comfortable with it. Like we're talking something that might not be normal for another 20 to 30 years. I mean, who knows? So
right.
I do think automated shopping is certainly going to become something. It's really hard to say what, where, and when.
Well, if you go to like Target and Walmart, you'll notice that most of the checkouts are empty. There's like 1 or 2 open. I don't know about your area. So I always joke around and I'm like, so they tricked me into working at Target today because I'm checking out my own groceries. I'm bagging my own groceries, and I always get tricked into working for Target every week. So, but I go every week because that's my store.
I never thought of it that way, but that's true. The automated checkout has certainly been an improvement, I would say, for a lot of grocery stores.
Yeah.
For some.
But
right?
if you're spoiled like me, you don't like to do it. I'm just like, I have to bag my own groceries, but hey, that's what it's coming to. They're going to keep cost. They're going to keep cutting costs.
For me, I guess you make a good point there. I know for me, it's always been nice when I know like I can do it. So I just boom, click, scan. Like I don't have to talk to anyone. Maybe that's it. Maybe I'm a millennial. I don't want to talk to anyone. I just want to be on my phone, right? I don't.
Well, I could do it too, but I just don't want to.
Yeah,
I have to do it. I have no choice.
That's a good point, though.
Yeah. So let's see what else. So what tips can you give someone that's maybe thinking about getting into this world of investing in real estate, or these, I don't even, they call them real, I know it's real estate, but it's like a portfolio, right? Is what you're investing in.
Right. There's a lot of different options now, thanks to the internet. One way you could get started relatively quickly, easily, especially if you, for example, don't have a ton of capital saved up or you're not an accredited investor, is you can go to Realty Mogul. Actually would probably be the only recommendation I can think of off the top of my head. I happen to know someone who's on the board there. And there's other it's called crowdfunding. So basically you can go on the internet and research a deal, which I highly recommend researching it and getting on the phone with someone and talking to someone about it. This is also where I would say commercial real estate investing does trump just like stock market investing, because if you're a part of a deal, if you have capital invested in a deal, more than likely, especially if you position yourself the right way, you could set up a phone call with like the general partner or the person who's operating the fund and call them and say, hey, how's business going? You can't get on the phone if you're invested in Nike. You can't get on the phone with the CEO of Nike every day and be like, hey, how's business going? And you're not really cash flowing anything either unless you're getting paid in dividends, where commercial real estate investing is something that could potentially be putting money in your pocket every month, again, depending on the deal. So that's a little bit of I kind of got, I think, maybe a little bit distracted there on your question, but it was, how can people get started, I think, right? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
And so another way that I would recommend, and I guess this is a little bit of a plug to my podcast, but on Dream Chasers, I do interview a lot of commercial real estate professionals. It's certainly not the main focus of the show. We get a good variety of people on there, but there's a lot of guys. I like to bring on people who are showing early signs of success within 5 years of what it is that they're pursuing or less. So we've got a lot of young commercial real estate professionals on there that tend to share, without realizing it, the same advice over and over. And so if you just listen to my show and look for a few where I had like a mobile home park investor on, or multifamily, again, self-storage, there's all these different avenues that you can get started and start moving forward. And I think everyone's goal at the end of the day really is creating that financial freedom and that future of really being able to do what you want to do with your time, which a lot of the people in this industry have done for themselves because of the time they've invested.
And this is the Dream Chasers, right? Dream Chasers?
Yes, Dream Chasers interviews.
And it's real estate agents from all walks of life: commercial, residential, new construction, resales, flipping, everything, huh?
Yeah, it's almost, I wonder how many I've had on the show that are actual agents. It's funny now that I think about it. I'm still technically a real estate agent and licensed in DC, Maryland, and Virginia. So if anyone's in that area looking to execute a transaction, you can always call me. But no, a lot of these guys have, if they're not agents, then they were once upon a time, and they left that industry because what they found is if they're syndicating deals, which is a whole nother direction we could potentially go with this conversation. But if you're a syndicator instead of a realtor, for example, in general, most of the time, not all the time, you can actually make a lot more money, first of all, for yourself, be invested in the deal significantly, and again, take you a little bit on a quicker pathway to that financial freedom than pursuing a career as a realtor would.
So when you say syndicator or syndication, are you talking about kind of what you're doing?
I would say what we're doing. I am a part of a team, and I would say, who knows, one day I could very well be doing my own deals. I've really been blessed with two incredibly experienced mentors. Just real quick, at Concordia, Michael Flight, we've been in business for 30 years. So we've been through 3 recessions or whatever you want to call it in retail real estate, something that, again, doesn't have the greatest stigma right now, but we're prospering. So being on a team with Michael Flight and with Hunter Thompson, who's, again, someone in the industry who, when he speaks, everyone just stops and listens. Learning from them how this works has been very instrumental. And so basically what a syndication is you are pooling together capital from your network, from investors, from people that just say if you're looking to raise $1 million to buy a mobile home park, you go around, you gather the equity, you work on the capital stack, you put the deal together, you figure out how you're going to split it, who's going to get paid what. Basically, it's sales. You're going out, you're getting money. You're also proving to the people who you're receiving money from, showing them data, like this is how much money we're all going to make from going in on this deal. And then you go in on it and you execute. And it's definitely easier said than done, but that's what a lot of individuals are starting to get into, because they're seeing not only how much they can make, but how much they can free up their lives, and really pursue what it is that they'd like to do outside of work.
That's interesting. So let's talk a little bit about your vlogging journey here. So you got into this vlogging? Is it something that you had a passion for? Is it something, a way to get out into the marketplace? And how has your experience been so far doing it?
Yeah, vlogging is something actually that when I think about it, if there's anything that I've been doing professionally for the longest, it probably has either been video slash audio related. I've had a camera in my hand since middle school. I'm 28 now, so that means probably been doing camera or audio related stuff for the past 14 or 15 years. And really, if anyone listening has time, you can go on Facebook, just type in Untitled. It's the name of the vlog. And the reason why I named it, and you can get on YouTube as well, but I think Facebook's a little more interactive. And I named it Untitled because when I was getting ready to launch the vlog, I was like, do I want to make it about business? Do I want to make it about my life? Do I want to make it? I always had fun just making little fun music videos, for example. And I'm like, there's no label for this. It's untitled. And that's also a common word that we see when we start a new document or something. Like, okay, that's a recognizable word. I'm going to go with untitled. So that's where that came from. I think episode 109 just came out the other day. So we're moving right along.
And how long did it take you to get to 109?
It's amazing. I mean, it didn't take anywhere as long as I envisioned at first. When I hit 100, I was like, wow, I've only been at this like hardcore for like the past year or a year and a half. I mean, I started, as we mentioned, I think I started it in 2017, and we're 2.5 years past that because it was like early 2017. But yeah, I don't know, one at a time. You're on episode 34 of your show, and I'm sure, or is it 43 or 34?
34.
Yeah. And it's got to be flying by for you. I know for me, you just look back and go, wow, what did I just do?
Yeah. It's been about a year. And, so we go live, so there's no editing involved. So what comes out, so
that's kind of nice.
Yeah. We've had tech issues. Sometimes we've had miscommunication on time zone things. But the quality of the guests have been really good. And I'm always happy to try to bring the audience good quality guests. And then we've got the TheQ&AShow.com media page. So all of the interviews are archived. So they don't just go into, social media space. Right. And then, so we've got the YouTube channel, and some of these interviews, get thousands and thousands of views, which is awesome.
You've had some remarkable guests on your show. I was quite honored, honestly, when I saw you were having me on.
No, I appreciate that. But it took a lot of work, and it's just like you, it's networking and getting to know people and always delivering value to the audience and always thinking about them first. And, that's just a good mantra to have in business, right? Just always lead with value. And that's what I try to do always.
Yeah, absolutely. Lead with value.
Yeah. Lead with value, and good things happen.
All the time. I mean, like, again, if we want to talk about some stories on leading with value, I've got plenty.
So on your blog, are you documenting your journey in entrepreneurship or in your business, or is it just your life, a little bit of everything?
Yeah, what I gravitated towards recently, I was not doing this early on. I'd say since May, which was a significant time in my life. Went through a huge life transition. Long story short, and I think most of us have probably all been here in some way, shape, or form in life. But basically, left a relationship that I thought was going to be it for life, right? And it's not anymore. And that was probably one of the biggest and most important and greatest moments of my life looking back. And since then, I started doing these walk and talk videos, and similar to what we're doing right now, live. I just press record. I rarely even know what I'm going to talk about before I hit record, and I just walk and I hold my camera and I just share my mind with anyone who cares what's going on in my world. And I've really seen some good returns on viewership and interaction. And so it's fun. I'm going to keep doing that, along with I just came out with, like I mentioned, a little fun music video not too long ago to promote the IX brand, which is another thing that I have. But you'll notice if you look at anything that I'm doing that's an Adam Carswell related project, it's going to have a logo on it. IX, Roman numeral number 9.
See it. So, yeah. Is that on TikTok? Are you on TikTok?
Not yet, but I've had multiple people like say, dude, you got to get on TikTok because that's your personality.
Right up your alley.
So I just got to press record and get on there as well.
So is it you guys actually like singing, rapping, lip syncing? What are you doing in these videos? The
Mostly
music
lip
video.
syncing. I'm trying
Uh-huh.
to, yeah. So the last one, and it was funny with this video. I had a couple friends reach out to me, and they're like, "I love this song so much. Like, you got to get it on Spotify or Apple Music." And I told them, I was like, "I think it's already on there. Just so you know, I didn't make the song. Like, we're lip syncing. I'm sorry if you thought I made the song. I wasn't trying to make that what people thought. I just like the
Right.
song."
Right.
But the last one that I did was to promote my clothing line. It kind of sounds weird to say that, but I do have an online store now where you can buy IX apparel and IX gear. And that's an idea that came from a friend of mine who knows how to build websites for clothing brands. And I was like, dude, I have a logo. How much would it cost for me to set up an online shop? Can you do it for me? One thing led to another. Now we got the shop. Now we got people in St. John's, Newfoundland walking around wearing my logo, which represents freedom and unity.
You are very millennial for sure.
Right? That is a millennial thing to do. Everyone's got a clothing
Right.
brand now, right? But we're killing
Well, I
it.
mean, you're doing a lot of different things. That's why I say that.
Oh, okay. Yep. Hey, that
That's
could
good
be it
though.
too.
It could be the opposite
As
where you
long
don't
as
do anything.
as long as I have my checklist, it's my system and it works. So exactly, I like doing a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So the clothing line is doing well.
I would say it's doing well. I mean, doing well is subjective, but what I like to tell people is, I don't care because it's not my main focus. So I don't care if I sell one shirt or 100 shirts a year. Being able to walk up to someone, shake their hand, and then also be like, "Yeah, I have an online store." It holds value, and it shows a certain level of something that I like. So yeah, we're doing good, and the logo is definitely becoming a lot more recognized here in St. John's, and I would hope around the world.
That's awesome.
Thank
Very
you.
cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
So what is your next project, or what are you working on now? What is your main focus?
One thing that I'm working on that not a lot of people know unless you follow my podcast, because I do a Monday weekly update every week, but I can't help but talk about it because it's a lot of fun. I think that's why I get into this one. But so I've always had an insane passion for music. The rhythm is in my blood. Growing up, my dad was actually led worship in my church, so I always had an example of how to perform in front of people and speak, and he sings better than I can. But so I've just always felt like I had this rhythm within me that I needed to unleash, and it's finally starting to come out now that I'm here in St. John's. One thing led to another. Long story short, I'm DJing at a local venue every Sunday, like all day pretty much. And so we started calling it Spicy Sundays here in St. John's. And that's another way that I've been able to start a new project, put the IX logo on it, give people a good time through music. And yeah, it's slowly but surely growing. I'm looking forward to this Sunday, which is actually Thanksgiving Sunday in Canada. This would be my first Canadian Thanksgiving as well. It's kind of weird doing it before November, but yeah, we're working on all kinds of fun things here and virtually.
That's pretty cool. So you're doing a little bit of everything there, it sounds like.
I am. I certainly am.
Very cool. So if somebody wants to reach out to you, Adam, and talk about real estate, they want to listen to your vlog, what's the best way? Your website?
Best way to my website, or best way to really just get in touch with me in general, I would say, is my website, which is carswell.io. I is in Idaho, O is in Ohio.
And we'll put this in the show notes.
Thank you. Because if you do go to my website, it literally covers everything we discussed today. It's got links to everything we discussed today. I highly recommend subscribing to the podcast on either Spotify or iTunes, whatever your preference is. If you just go on Google or whatever search engine you like to use and just type in Dream Chasers, Adam Carswell, I'm sure you'll find the platform that you like to use. And that's really probably the best way to stay plugged in with what I'm up to.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate you coming on here, Adam. What I'm going to do is this will be archived on our Q&A show media page and as well as our YouTube. So it'll be everywhere. And we'll definitely talk later and maybe have you on in a future episode.
Certainly.
So thank you for coming on. I really appreciate it.
Bob, thank you for having me. And look forward to growing our relationship.
All right, buddy. Take care of yourself. Okay.
Yep. You too.
Bye-bye. You guys, thanks so much for joining me here tonight. Tonight's show was brought to you by Success Rocket Marketing. If you're looking to grow your local business, you just need some help, go to successrocketmarketing.com. There is a ton of free stuff on there that you can get. Just go check it out. You won't regret it. You can also give them a call at 915-314-5300. Thanks again for joining me here on the Q&A show. Until next time, take care of one another and let's throw some marketing fuel on your marketing. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.